Good day to everyone, to the olds and to the youngs. Drax is back in the studio and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be doing a tier list on tribes in Polytopia. I'll do laterwards a video that explains what is Polytopia. So without further ado, let's not black out by its nuts and let's begin. Alrighty ladies and gentlemen, here we are at tier maker. So the system remains pretty much the same. We got X tier, the highest tier, then we got S, A, B, C and D tier. Those who watched my Mobile Legends adventure character tier list, they know that I also had mid tiers, but they aren't here today. Alrighty, let's get started, and the first character in the tier list will be Xingxi. I think Xingxi needs to go to the C tier. Well, firstly, climbing starting perk is not that good in comparison with other starting perks that characters have. Just ask yourself a question. While many characters can get to town level 2 at turn 0, Xingxi can only climb mountains. And why is that useful? At least the resource establishment is not that bad and you can play off with using mines. However, the main problem is that it's going to be way more expensive. And every star on first 5-10 turns counts. Now that we're done with Xingxi, let's move on to Imperius. And I don't think anyone will be against it if I put him straight into the X tier. Like seriously, you can get almost 100% chance that you will get town 2 level at turn 0, which is pretty convenient and it will give you a good head start. Speaking of organization perk, it will also allow you to unlock other good perks. Farming will upgrade your towns, whereas the strategy perk will also upgrade your defense by letting you train shield units. And the resource establishment is incredible. You almost have enough forests, farms and fruits around you to upgrade your towns pretty well. Up next is Bardo, but don't mind me, I'll put him into X tier straight away. You know, Bardo and Imperius, they are pretty much identical. At some point I think Bardo has more advantage than Imperius does. While the resource establishment is pretty much the same, their starting perks are different. The hunting starting perk can allow you to achieve even better upgrades in the future. Forestry and archery, they are pretty useful during the early game. And if you want to, you can swap to catapults in mid and late game. Alrighty, up next we got Omaji. And as for me, it's a B tier. You know, it's very good to have riders at the beginning of the game, so you can explore the map much quicker than everybody else does. However, the more cities you get under your control, the more upgrades will cost. And I remind you, every star counts in first 5-10 turns. Resource establishment is worse than Imperius and Bardo have. However, it's not the worst. So it's very fun tribe to play as for me. Not competitive, but fun to play. Alright, up next in our tier list will go Kiku, and it's an S tier for me. Let me explain why. Well, first things first, let me remind you that Kiku's starting perk is fishing, and laterwards with it you can get access to ships. This tribe usually doesn't have any problems with resource establishment, however I had some struggles in this game. But don't forget that with fishing starting perk you can get to town level 2 at turn 0. Or just get to any town level 2 in a single turn. As for me, Kiku tribe is certainly the tribe that deserves a shot. So don't be afraid of it, don't underestimate it, and give it a try by playing a few games. Hudrick. Hudrick is, for me it's a B tier actually. Okay, maybe for you it's going to be a bit unexpected for me to put Hudrick so low, but let me give you a quick explanation why did I do so. To begin with, Hudrick's starting perk it's archery, so basically it gives you archer units and it also gives you slight defense whilst being in forests. However, this means that you'll still need to get the perk to upgrade your cities and towns, because otherwise you'll not be able to get more stars and then you'll just easily be destroyed. You know, I'm a big fan of Hudrick tribe myself and I can say that this tribe is really fun to play. However, not competitive, just like Omaji. Up next in our tier list is Luxador, and I think I'll put Luxador into B tier. So basically, for those who don't know, Luxador does not have a starting perk, however it has bigger capital. This means that you can get +1 star and +1 unit at the beginning of the game, which seems not that bad of a present. However, this means that you'll still need to get the perk to upgrade your cities if you want to get more stars and units. Which one to be precise, you'll ask me? I actually think it's hunting, so that laterwards you could get to forestry. Because there are plenty of forests surrounding Luxador cities. Picking this tribe is certainly a challenge, and it's fun, just like Hudrick and Omaji. But once again, not competitive. Now it's turn for Zebasi, and Zebasi as for me, it is a strong A tier. Okay, so farming starting perk may seem to be useless, however, in fact, it is very good. It is all because there's plenty of farms and resource establishment is superb. Apart from that, farms give you 2 population to your town instead of 1. Of course, you're gonna say that picking 2 berries with Imperius with organization kit is gonna be better just because you do not waste 1 star. It actually is. In conclusion, Zebasi is a strong tribe. I wouldn't regret playing it personally, but it's not one of the best. Moving on to Yadak, and Yadak for me it's an A tier as well. Well, first things first, the road starting perk is incredible. Not only you can move around your cities quicker, but placing road at the border of your town is also a high IQ move. Here's how it works. So basically, when you go to the border of your city in the beginning of the game, all you see is clouds. And when you step to the border on that block road and you reveal your surroundings, you can walk even further around, which makes it pretty good for some warrior to move further than normal warrior would. Yadak, just like Zebasi, is a strong tribe to play. I would have initially put him into S tier, however, because of poor resource establishment, it's only A tier. But I would certainly recommend giving it a shot on this tribe. Up next we got, the one who must not be named, D tier. Now, if I could just describe this Polytopian tribe in one word, it's I really mean it. The resource establishment is awful. The starting perk is awful as well. It's very expensive and it doesn't really pay off. And why would you ever need to train a swordsman in the beginning of the game so that then would die just like seconds laterwards? I would recommend just to forget about the existence of this tribe. Bots can be strong. You're not going to be so strong against bots because bots can pick any tribe they want and they will still be strong because it is a crazy difficulty. 2 to go on normal tribes, we've got Quetzali, and that is a C tier for me. Here's why. You may actually think that just because of the starting perk, which are the shields, Quetzali must go straight into the S tier if not X tier, just because shields can be incredibly useful in the game, right? Well, to tell the truth, nah. Of course it won't. Of course, in the beginning of the game, you can pull some incredible plays with shields if you know how to use them. That is undeniable. But it doesn't end on shields only. There are plenty of other factors you need to look at when choosing a tribe. And this is probably the part that let Quetzali down. Resource establishment, you can sometimes get good resources while playing as Quetzali, but in most cases, they are pretty bad. Starting perk, it's not that good in the beginning of the game, unless you are getting pushed from 3 sides at the same time. And after you unlock this strategy perk, it doesn't matter whether you upgraded it through the tech tray or received it as a starting perk from Quetzali. The problem being that this perk is diplomacy. Yes, capital vision can be good sometimes to know the approximate location of your enemy and in which direction you need to move. Pieces and embassies, they are not useful. To be honest with you, they are not useful. You just give stars to your enemies, and afterwards, in the end of the game, if you had an ally with certain somebody, then you will have to break the piece, and then you'll have to wait another turn while the enemy is going to prepare to strike back. And last but not least, damage output from attacks and counterattacks from shields and on-shield unit. Okay, let me explain this one real quick. When you attack a shield unit, your strike is not that powerful. However, the counterattack is incredibly strong. And this effect applies both to attacks from other units and it applies as well to attacks of the shield unit that strikes an enemy. In other words, you cannot attack with your shield unit because they will instantly receive serious blows and this will result lower rate of counterattack, meaning that you will deal less damage in case of being attacked, meaning that shields will become useless after they receive a series of serious blows. And this is the main problem, because sometimes in the beginning of the game, to fight for another city, you need to strike hard on enemies. And you cannot, because you've got shield. Okay, I've spent too much time on Quetzali. C tier, moving on. Imo goes straight into the D tier without any discussions whatsoever. I mean, what else can you expect from a tribe that has got a starter kit of meditation and a poor resource establishment? I didn't expect anything apart from D tier, to be honest with you. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, olds and youngs, we are done with normal tribes and we're moving on to the special tribes and kicking it off with Aquarion, which is a C tier, sadly. I know, many people will say right now that Aquarion is at least an A tier character just because of the cool Trident unit, just because of the ability of walking on water, and the Crab unit. Well, I actually think you are overrating Aquarion. Here's why. Firstly, the resource establishment is terrible. Compare Aquarion with Imperius, Bardo, or Kicker at least, and you shall see the difference. Yes, at some point, Aquarion has some forests, some farms, some gold, some fruits. Yes, this may be enough, but the thing is, it's not quite enough to maintain the process of upgrading your cities. At some point, I don't understand the logic of Aquarion perks as well. Like, units can walk on water, then why do you need ships? At some point, you could just add this bonus to all the units, and that would have been an incredible bonus for Aquarion, in a compensation of not having a starting perk. And then there's this Crab unit that acts a bit like a rider, but it can walk on water? Why? Up next you got Polaris. That is an A tier for me. I mean, it's cool to have outposts, freeze everything around with moonies, even water can be frozen and you can make some sort of a bridge on water without using ships or anything like that to transport your units. That is really cool. Then there's this special unit and the warship that is available. And the resource establishment is very nice. You've got fruits and forests all around you, and that is a very good thing. However, I put Polaris into A tier just because of the difficulty of playing this tribe. Because you need to comprehend everything about this tribe. How the Moonie works, how the special unit works, how the battleship works, and it's not that easy as you may think it is. Polaris is a confusing tribe, both for yourselves and enemies, especially when you freeze enemy units. But it's very fun to play, and this will for sure make your friends rage quit if you play against them as Polaris. Okay, 2 to go and we've got Illyrian. This may surprise you, but I'm putting Illyrian into the S tier. The ability to transform animals that live in forests into your units that are stronger than warriors by the price of warrior? That's pretty OP for me in the beginning of the game and in the mid game as well. The ability to call in animals from forests to turn them into animal warriors. Illyrian can also see through clouds where are the temples just by those small prisons that appear in the clouds. And then there's this dragon special unit that has the biggest and the highest AoE damage in the game. I absolutely love this unit, dude. And then there's incredible resource establishment. Come on! Why not the X tier, you may ask? Well, it's pretty simple. The difficulty. Yep, such an OP tribe and an S tier just because of the difficulty. I mean, you need to manage your stars in a proper way so that you don't run out of them. And I remind you that you need to get new units, you need to get upgrades for your cities, you need to get perks to upgrade your cities firstly, because you can't upgrade them without the perks. And then you need to create new units once you upgrade your cities, then get roads and ports in some cases. It's more complicated than you think it is. Anyways, I still think you should certainly give it a try on Illyrian because this is an OP tribe despite being an S tier tribe in my tier list. One tribe to go and we got Samanti, and I am going to be honest with you, but I think Samanti needs to go to the S tier. Remember when I said that Illyrian and Polaris are difficult? Well, forget about it. This tribe is even more difficult. Samanti's tech tree and units are incredibly different from each other. I'm being silent about the fungi, and of course, I'm being silent about the shaman that you receive in the beginning. The combination of Hexapod, it's that little thing that looks like a spider, and Shaman can be incredibly dangerous as they start to deal more damage under Shaman's boost. and almost every unit in the tribe deals AoE damage. Remember when I said about Illyrion's dragon AoE? This one is pretty much similar. It is very important to understand how the check tree and units of Semanti work, because then, knowing its strong parts and weak parts that you will be able to evade once you know them, you can destroy literally almost every tribe on your way, if not any tribe on your way. Semanti requires a lot of skill and comprehension, but once you will be able to fully master this tribe, you will be able to become the number one on the whole board. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, olds and youngs, we are done with our tier list, and this is how it looks like in the end. Our tier lists can differ, but this is my sole opinion on all the tribes that are currently available in the Polytopia game. If you enjoyed, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, since it helps me out a lot to understand whether I need to continue making these videos or shall I stop. Thank you very much for tuning in. Drax was in the studio, and I hope to see you in future videos.